Aloha. My name is Lono Ho'ala. I'm a kahuna priest. I'm also a scientist. And I want to introduce you to something that is the most powerful system of wisdom that you'll ever encounter. It's called huna. And it's called huna because that Hawaiian word means the isness of things. What is, what's real. It completely tracks how our world is built. Now, we live in an increasingly polarized, difficult world. It's really tough to see what's going on for me as somebody who's a patriotic American. I value the America that I grew up in. I value the America that our founding fathers and many of my ancestors died to create. And why I value it is because it's really the only country that broke a pattern that was very dysfunctional, that existed for thousands of years. It's why America is exceptional. America is an exceptional country, and let me explain why. There are only two basic forms of government. Only two. There are lots of flavors of these two, but there are only two. And that is either a top-down system of government, where a king or a dictator or somebody at the top rules the people at the bottom, or there's a bottom-up type of government where the people themselves have the power and then they give the power back to people in leadership positions to help govern the society. Now you have to ask yourself a question right now, particularly. Which kind of government do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a government where there's certain people that are the elite that think that they know what's better for you than anybody else? And they're going to control your life or make you live your life in a way that conforms to their expectations? Because that's what's going on increasingly. And if they get their way, you're not going to recognize the world that you're going to have to live in the future, or the world that your children and your grandchildren are going to have to live in. Whenever we've gone that way in the past, and human beings have done that for thousands of years with kings and tyrants of different kinds, it's never worked out well. Because in that scenario, you have these people who have all the power. They think they have the right. And it's not true. It's against the isness of things. It's not huna. Huna is based on this idea that there is an all that is, of which every person is a part. And our definition of God is that all that is. And you are a part of God. Whoever you are, black, white, man, woman, it doesn't matter. The trees that are out there, we're all a part of God. And our job is to live in harmony with one another and respect one another's sacred space. And if we can't do that, we're not in harmony with God, the all that is. And when we're not in harmony with that all that is, we get pain. That's how the universe is designed. I can stand on a building, a 50-story building in New York City as an example, God forbid, being in New York City right now, and I can believe all I want to, that all I have to do is stretch out my arms and I can fly around the city. And no matter how hard I believe it, no matter how much I want it, the truth of the matter is, if I jump off of that building, I'm going to go splat on the ground because I'm not in harmony with reality. It's going to be a very painful experience. When I treat other people as if they're some kind of an object, instead of what they really are, which is a fellow divine being that deserves my respect and my honor, I can promise you that I'm not going to have a very good relationship with that person. And that's the problem with top-down forms of government. Top-down forms of government, people become intoxicated with their power. And when they become intoxicated with their power, they have no qualms about violating your sacred space. But in the real form, the moral form of government, it recognizes that everybody comes here from that all that is. We're all a part of that all that is. That's where we come from. And we all come here with sacred space. What our founding fathers called inalienable rights. And it doesn't work to violate somebody else's sacred space, no matter what justification we have. Unless that person has become sociopathic and is regularly violating my sacred space, then my job is to leave that person alone and let them make choices in this life and let them endure the consequences of the choices that they make in this life. It's not up to me to tell people what medicine they have to take. It's not up to me. I don't have the right to tell people that they have to get vaccinated for some disease. And if I don't have that right, the government can't have that right, because the rights are mine first. I can delegate my rights to the government, but I can only delegate the rights that I have. And that's something the government is forgetting. That was something that was very clear to our founding fathers. That's why the Constitution was written the way it was. Our rights don't come from the Constitution, by the way. And I kind of get my hackles up a little bit when people are constantly, well-meaning people too, are constantly saying our constitutional rights. No, excuse me. They don't come from the Constitution. Our rights come from God. That's where our rights come from, in a bottom-up form of government. We recognize the truth of it. Our rights come from God, not from government, from God. And as soon as we forget that principle, we can be sure that government is going to take our rights away from us. And they'll start telling us what we have to do and you have to wear a mask, you have to social distance. And you know what happens when you start buying into that? What happens is you lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, you've lost everything. I think it was the Chinese strategist, a man named Sun Tzu, who made the comment that if you don't know your enemy and you don't know yourself, you'll never win a battle. But if you know yourself and you know your enemy, you'll never lose a battle. And that's where we as Americans are today. We've got to come back to self. We've got to come back to our sovereignty. We have given away sovereignty. It's like people are in a trance. Gee, they see something on TV, they see something that their political party says, they've become intellectually lazy. They're not doing their own thinking. They just want to believe that everything is okay. They want to believe what their peers believe. It's the easiest way to go. Well, I got news for you. If you continue to do that out there, you're going to have pain in your future that is going to knock your socks off. You can't remain disengaged any longer. We are coming to a point in this world where you're going to have to make a choice. Do you want freedom? Do you want to have sovereignty? Do you want to stand in harmony with the sacrifices that many thousands of people, millions of people made before you so that you could be here? Or do you just want to be sheep herded into a corral by an elite that think that they know for what's better for you than you know for yourself? It's not going to work for you, I promise you. The problem is that Americans have become comfortable. And when we become comfortable, we suspend the difficult process of thinking for ourselves. And we tend to get into a herd mentality where what everybody else thinks is what we think. And that's got to change. And it's not that people don't want to change. I think people do. People would like to be clear. They'd like to be able to understand what's really going on. They'd like to be able to do what it takes to end the insanity that they see going on around them. But we become entranced with a narrative that is given to us constantly by news media owned by billionaires who want to control us, and by political parties that are owned by billionaires that want to control us. So the Eagle's Nest family is a solution. And I'd like you to tell everybody you know about the Eagle's Nest family, and I'd like you to go to our website at www.hunawisdom.com and check it out. Because here's what you get. The first thing you get is a series of courses on what we call the way of wisdom. And it begins with understanding who God really is. And I want to let you know, if no matter what religion you are, or even if you despise religion, you will be able to relate to these ideas about God and about where our rights come from. Then we're going to take a look at who we are as built out of that God. And all of a sudden it's going to make a lot of sense why these think tanks out there funded by these billionaires have been able to manipulate us in a way where we have given up our sovereignty. Because what I can teach you is what they already know. And once you see it, you're going to say, I get it. There's nothing in this that needs any belief, by the way. There's an age-old principle in Huna that says belief is necessary only for that which is not real. Think about that. Belief is necessary only for that which is not real. That which is real, when we discover it, can be recognized. When we discover it, that which is real can be recognized, and it works reliably and flawlessly. We have to discover reality. We have to discover and put some energy into the process of trying to understand how our world works. But once we see how the world works, we can recognize it. We don't have to believe it. And all of the Huna, all of this that you'll learn in the way of wisdom is like that. And it's not hard. It's not complicated. So you're going to learn about the foundation of everything, the start of everything, and that is God. And if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, it doesn't really matter. You're going to appreciate what you hear because you're going to see it's in harmony with what you already know to be true. But the advantage that the Eagle's Nest family has over any particular religion is it's more generic. It can bring people from all kinds of religions. It can bring atheists. It can bring people who are just sick of religion, which is a whole lot of people in this country. And it can bring them together around a common perspective that they can agree about. That's the power of Huna. That's the power of the Eagle's Nest family. So we talk about God, we talk about how we're built so that we can get over the psychological conditioning that we're subject to. And then we talk about life, and what is life about? Why are we here? As a part of God, why do we come here? And I promise you, everything we talk about, you're going to say, I get it. I get it. If your brain is turned on at all, unless you've been so ideologically compromised that you cannot think for yourself, you're going to say, I get it. And things are going to clear up. And then you're going to find the power to be sovereign. And that's the thing. You want to be sovereign. You want to do your own thinking, and you want that process to be something that you can count on. So here's God, here's who you are, here's what the game of life is all about. And then we're going to go into an awful lot of other subjects in the way of wisdom. Government. What is government? What's its role? And not just at a level of philosophical talking about it and debating between socialism and capitalism and all of that kind of stuff. The important thing is to get the isness of it. Because until you understand the isness of it, you're not going to be able to come in harmony with it. And you're going to wind up enslaved. These billionaires are tyrants. They are sure that they are superior to you, otherwise they wouldn't have their billions. Many of them are absolutely checked out. They're so unconscious that they can't relate to common sense principles of wisdom. And these people are trying to run your life. You have got to come together with other people. You're not going to make it if you don't. And the Eagle's Nest family gives us a vehicle whereby we can do that. And it's not my family, it's got to be our family. There are a whole lot of people out there doing really good work that we want to bring into this family. People that post videos on YouTube, many of whom are doing absolutely excellent work. The censorship that we see taking place on YouTube and with Google is chilling. It's absolutely chilling. It is every bit as bad as the book burning that took place in World War II with the Germans. And before that, these people are trying to control what you can see and what you can believe and what you can think. That is chilling. And they think it's their right. They think the world needs it. That's chilling. And if we don't come together with some vehicle where we can approach all of this as a unified front, we're going to lose. All of these people out there are all calling us to do something about it. Well, what I'm with the Eagle's Nest family is an opportunity to come together so that we can do something about it. To give a voice to people who are trying to do things that are very, very important that get done. We stand together in a circle. It's called the circle of life, and every one of us has a gift. Every one of us has a gift. And if we stand in that circle as sovereign beings and give that gift back to the circle of life, we all win. You don't have to give up anything in order to be of service to the circle of life. You win, everybody else wins. And that's what we're creating with the Eagle's Nest family. So you have these courses in the way of wisdom. We have a community where everybody can participate and give their feedback. We can come together as a group. And I invite you to become a part of the Eagle's Nest family. Go to www.hunawisdom, HUNAWISDOM, and enroll. It's not expensive. You can make a donation of your choice. So it's affordable for everybody. And it's a worldwide family. This is happening not just here in America, But it's happening all over the world. These people have decided to pull the trigger. These trillionaires and billionaires that have controlled the financial system in our world for a long, long time. Hundreds of years, actually. This is the culmination of what they've been working for a long time. They control our major media. They control the technocracy, the Google and the YouTube and all of these digital media platforms. They own them. They control them. And we go on. They own our educational system. They've been making big time, very wealthy grants to universities and colleges. And these colleges and universities have hired the kind of people to teach the kind of things that they want taught. They own the medical system. They own the pharmaceutical companies, the same people. They own the Democratic Party. They own the Republican Party. And that's something else we want in the family. I want to be able to have American Patriot Hall of Fame, where people who are doing a lot to bring this country back and to give us our freedom back and our sovereignty back, other people can be made aware of them and their work. There are many people like that. The whistleblowers at Google who had the courage to come out and talk about what Google is actually doing and what they are planning. How they work with the Chinese government. You need to listen to them talk about it. Don't believe me. Listen to them. And it's bone-chilling. And you can't ignore it. Go ahead, stick your head in the sand, but you will get the consequences if you decide that you want to disconnect. At least look at it. But how can you say that you've made a judgment and any of this stuff is conspiracy theory until you've looked at it? I get so tired of people going on about Fox News versus CNN versus MSNBC or NBC or any of that stuff. Those people are messengers. And Huna will teach you that the credential is always in the message, never in the messenger. That includes me. The credential is what I am teaching you. It is in the principle itself. If it's real, you can recognize it. Don't believe me. I don't want your belief. I want nothing to do with your belief. I want you to simply look and do your own thinking and take in information that's out there. So what's most interesting to me about, say, Fox News versus CNN is what one chooses to cover and the other doesn't. Why does CNN not want to talk about things that are incredibly important to an American citizen? And even Fox News won't report on things that are really important for people to know. You have to start asking questions. Where they win is when they convince you that you shouldn't be asking questions. Don't do your own thinking. For God's sake, don't do that. Just listen to us and do what we tell you to do. And that is how top-down systems of government work. Don't do your own thinking. Don't ask any questions. Just do what we tell you to do. And if you comply with that, you don't deserve freedom. One of our founding fathers said that. Those who would trade freedom for safety deserve neither. So, check out the Eagle's Nest family. You'll hear more from me about this. Here's some of the things that you can do with it, by the way. You can have conversations with your kids. Look at one of the videos and then discuss it. What about God? Who is God? Why is this important? Where do we get our rights from? Why is thinking that God is out there somewhere not really work? And when you discuss this thing, how about you? How about the place in you that thinks, the place in you that feels, the place in you that can know things? How are those things different? How are they supposed to relate? Though your kids need to know that stuff. How is government supposed to operate? Where does government get its rights? Does it get the rights just out of thin air because those elite people have more money? Or does it get rights because you have them and you give your delegate rights to the government? Your kids aren't being taught this in school. You need to teach it at home. This becomes an important part of how you can use this tool, the Eagle's Nest family, to start putting things together. Sit down with your friends and have a dinner at your house. In spite of all of this, get together. Start talking. Don't allow these people to separate you. That's all they're trying to do. They don't want information being shared. They want you to feel isolated. They want you to feel alone. Because when you feel that way, you feel vulnerable, and then you turn toward them. You turn toward their medicine system as the solution to this supposed problem. And you give up your rights. You give up your sovereignty. You give up you. You give up yourself. It's a poor trade. Get together with your friends. Discuss these issues. And join the Eagle's Nest family and help us make it a worldwide phenomenon so that we can stand up to these bullies with their billions. Because I'll tell you the one thing that's more powerful than billions of dollars, and that's ideas. Ideas are the most powerful thing in the world. And when enough people wake up to ideas that are real, that work, reality overcomes billions every time. It's not even a contest. So go to www.hunawisdom.com and check it out. And please join. And then tell everybody you know about this family and get them to join. And then start downloading the classes and listening to them. You're not going to see anything there that is going to be upsetting to you, that you're going to have to take on faith or you're going to need to believe. It's just rock solid reality. It's a way of looking at it that works. Aloha.